Hello, everyone, and welcome to our channel. I'm Mark.
I'm Rob.
Today, I'm going to make the argument that Shirley Babashoff is the most underrated U.S. Olympic athlete in history. And hey, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do so and hit that notification bell when you do. So in 1972, Mark Spitz set the world afire with 7 gold medals. It was 3 relays and 4 individual events, and he actually set 7 world records. And in 1976, it looks like Shirley Babashoff was going to do something similar for the women. But because of steroids, it didn't happen. So a little background. In Germany, it was East Germany and West Germany existed back then. Right. And the East Germans were determined to make themselves look good in sports. So since steroids help women more than men, they started this systematic program where in 1974, they started giving steroids to a lot of their athletes. And they didn't even tell them that they were giving it to them. They were like 12-year-old girls were getting steroids. And they didn't even tell the parents. The parents just trusted the coaches and the doctors. And so they started this program, and it came to, very successful by 1976 in the Olympics. The East German women won 11 golds out of 13 events, Rob. And before that, they only won a couple, the last Olympics before that. So Shirley Babashoff was an upcoming star swimmer. She, at age 15, she got 2 gold medals in relays and 2 silver medals in individual events when she was only 15 years old. So she was a great swimmer at 15. She won some individual world championships in 1975, the year before Olympics. She won 2 golds and a silver. And so she was a star swimmer. At the Olympic trials, Rob, she won 5 events out of 5. She won the 100, 200, 400, 800 individual freestyle, and she won the 400 individual medley, but she didn't compete in that in the Olympics. And she set 6 national records during the trials, and also set a world record. And so she's from California, blue-eyed woman, and she was going to be a big star. Well, she didn't know these steroids were going on because the change hadn't really taken place as much in 1975 at the World Championships. But she did lose to one of the women that she lost to at the Olympics, Enger. So at the Olympics during that, she was in the locker room with these women, and she started saying things like, these women have really deep voices and things like that nature. And she started making some snide comments about them. And we didn't know what steroids back then, Rob. If you remember correctly.
Right.
We found out like a couple years after this, and there started to be more and more talk about steroids. At the time, we had no idea what was going on. People called her Surly Shirley and said she was a poor sport. Well, Rob, it turns out she wasn't a poor sport. No. And she was right because she was clean, and the whole U.S. team was clean as far as we could tell. There's no indication by looking at these women and look at their events. And so they were saying things, and they were just starting to lose races. At the Olympics, she got 4 silvers, 3 individual events. She got silver. She lost to an East German woman each time. And she got a gold in the relay. They won the relay in an inspired performance by the American women. They beat the German women. That was like the last event of the Olympics. And there's a whole documentary about it on YouTube. You can find it. So she did get a team gold, but she didn't get any individual golds. Now, if you took away the East German women, she would have gotten, instead of 4 silvers and 1 gold, which again, those are all individual, she would have got 5 golds and a bronze. And 3 of those golds would have been individual, and 1 would have been a bronze. She was 5th place in the 100, but 2 East German women were ahead of her. She actually didn't swim well for the 100 meters. She could have won a gold in that if she had swam better. She had a woman from the Netherlands, and her teammate beat her. And she had beaten each of those women once before at the trials and at the World Championship the year before. So anyways, but that's on her. But she would have had 5 gold and a bronze, Rob. And that's similar to what Mark Spitz got before that. And she would have been a superstar in the United States. Instead, because she got no individual golds, just the 1 team gold, she basically got nothing. She got 1 little endorsement after that. She went to college and retired at the age of 19, 20. Very sad story.
Well, it's disheartening. I mean, you train for the Olympics, like you said, so every 4 years, and then you train for it only to go against someone who's been all pumped up and muscle bound illegally. And so then you lose. So how disheartening that is for her that it happened to her.
Well, Rob, not only did she lose a lot of gold medals and world records that she would have set, she lost a lot of money in endorsements, Rob. A lot of money in endorsements because Mark Spit got a bunch of endorsements, and she's
Right.
a blonde from California, kind of cute. Man, she would have got a ton of money. She got almost nothing after that, Rob. In fact, maybe if she wasn't disheartened by the steroids by the German team, she would have swam another 4 years. When
Right.
she was 23, she hadn't even hit her peak yet, Rob. She was
Right.
19.
Right.
You know?
So it's like this. I mean, and I'm just surprised that if she figured it out, why couldn't Olympic Committee, the IOC, figure it out? Like, hey, I saw that happen when I lived in the Bay Area with, with the Bay Area with Barry Bonds and the Bash brothers. I mean, they were my size, and all of a sudden next year they're huge, like Hulk. I'm like, wait a minute, how did this happen?
Well, Rob, they have figured it out because the East German records indicate they were doing this, and they refused to overturn those results. If they did, she would have all these gold medals back. She still wouldn't have the endorsements she would have got in 1976, but they refused to overturn these results. Now, she's not the only athlete in history who's been screwed over from steroids,
Right.
but this is a very unique situation where she would have been the glory girl or glory woman of the 1976 Olympics. Instead, she was seen as a poor sport who underachieved.
Yeah.
I mean, the contrast is so stark; it's unbelievable.
Right. Yeah. You just said the right word, Mike. So she's an underachiever because she didn't win the gold medal when she would have won them if it was the playing field was even.
She would have won 3 individual golds and an individual bronze, and she would have won 2 team golds, Rob. You know, if there was no East German women that was doing steroids. Let's just assuming she would have beat these women because she didn't lose by much.
Right.
And so the steroids for women give them a big advantage because it gives them testosterone level higher. Men already have high testosterone. So steroids are unbelievable for women. They're like 3 times more effective on women than for men. That's why they concentrated on the women. And that's why the women did so much better than the men for the East Germans, because they were giving the men some steroids too, but it wasn't as effective.
Yeah, like I said, I'm just surprised that they didn't catch. I mean, they've had 4 years to figure it out. You have time trials and other events, and you wouldn't think that they would kind of catch something in between those years.
Well, they didn't know what steroids were back then, Rob. They just didn't know what was going on at the time. I remember watching the Olympics. I don't remember them saying steroids. I remember them saying these women seem like men and why their voice is so deep and all that. And I think she mentioned hair growth or something on their face or something like that.
Probably hair growth, yeah.
And so I'm not sure. I can't remember all the complaints that she had about the women, but it was the voices and their builds too, Rob. The builds were it was unbelievable builds that these women had because you can train harder when you're on steroids, and that's what they did. Yeah. And you get more muscle buildup because higher testosterone level. And so they weren't built like women. And, so anyways, I find that one of the saddest stories in sports. And I always felt sorry for her. And, especially since even the American press criticized her because she complained about that. And you can find these articles still online where, she's a poor sport, Shirley and all this stuff. And no one's apologized to her for that. She was right. In fact, she was the first one to call it out. She's a hero in my mind.
Right.
So anyways, I just thought I'd share that story with you. And I can't prove it, but I think she's the most underrated U.S. Olympic athlete in history because people don't talk about her like they should when they talk about the greatest swimmers or the greatest Olympians in U.S. history because she didn't have the individual medals to prove it, even though she had world championships from the year before to prove it. And that's before the steroids really took over for the East German. Although she did lose one in the 100 to the East German one who was starting to do steroids. So anyways, she won the 200 and the 400 in the world championships the year before. So she was the best in the world, but she never got the individual gold.
Right.
So anyways, that's my heartwarming story for today. Let us know what you think about this story. You can look her up, Shirley Babashoff. If you want to make intelligent, non-insulting comments down below, feel free to do so. If you like this video, hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do so. We're almost at 3,000. We cover the Olympics, basketball, and football. In case you're new to the channel, because you tuned in because of Shirley Babashoff's story. All right. And if you want to donate to our channel, you can with super chats or super thanks down below. And also there's a link to PayPal. And we'll see you in the next video.
Peace out.